There comes a moment in the life of the chosen one when the world stops speaking in whispers and begins to thunder with signs. You don't always recognize it at first. It creeps in softly, like the warmth of dawn brushing the skin after a long night of silence. But it is there, humming beneath your skin, rising like a tide from the very root of your being. It is the awakening of your high sexual energy, not in the shallow sense of desire, but in the ancient sense of raw, unshaped power. A power that pulses not only through flesh, but through spirit, woven into the blueprint of who you are. The chosen one is not made by chance. There is a call, an invisible pull from the higher realms. And with that calling, your energy begins to shift. You notice how others look at you differently, how their eyes linger, how their voices change, how a simple glance, a quiet breath, an accidental touch can charge the atmosphere like lightning trapped in a room. But this is not about vanity or ego. It is about recognition, souls recognizing something deeply rare. This energy cannot be faked. It cannot be copied. It is not about appearance, charm, or even confidence, though those things may trail in its wake. It is something far older, far deeper, an essence rooted in creation itself. You are not meant to walk this world unnoticed. You are meant to be seen, to stir hearts, to awaken others simply by existing. Your presence, once quiet and uncertain, now thunders without words, and others feel it even if they do not understand it. But with awakening comes disorientation. There is confusion, temptation, curiosity. Why do sparks fly? Why do they lean closer, laugh louder, crave your gaze? Why do some fear you, while others seem helpless in your presence? These questions swirl as you begin to feel the heat rising from your core, spiraling into your chest, your voice, your movements. You start to see the power you wield, not with intention, not yet, but the signs are undeniable. You are waking up to the sacred fire within you. And yet, this awakening is not a license to consume or dominate. The true spiritual path does not glorify chaos, it transcends it. Your energy must not burn everything it touches. It must not fall into reckless hands, including your own. This first step in your journey as the chosen one is one of awareness, of seeing not just the reactions you cause, but the weight of your presence, the power of your energy, the potential in your silence. You are no longer asleep. And now, everything begins to change. When the chosen one enters a room, something shifts. Not always loudly, not always with fanfare, but subtly, undeniably. The atmosphere alters. Conversations stall, even for the briefest moment. Eyes, whether willing or unwilling, find their way to you. This is not because you seek attention. You may not even want it, but your energy announces you before your lips ever move. This is the recognition, not by choice, but by resonance. You are a tuning fork struck by the universe itself. And when your energy vibrates through the world, certain souls feel it in their bones. The reactions vary. Some are drawn to you like moths to flame, desperate to feel something real, something primal. Others recoil, unable to face their own unresolved shadows mirrored back by your presence. Because you don't just enter their world, you stir it. You wake dormant emotions, you ignite buried longings, and you do all of this simply by being. This is the nature of the chosen one's high sexual energy. It is not a weapon, though it can be deadly. It is not a charm, though it can be seductive. It is a spiritual frequency, a magnetism born from your alignment with the deeper currents of life. It is your soul speaking a language that most have forgotten, but all still remember on some instinctual level. This is why women feel sparks fly when you are near. It's not just your smile or your posture, it's the way your energy moves. It's the silent confidence of someone who has begun to recognize their own fire. You carry a storm beneath your calm. You radiate intention, even when you are still. And they feel it. They know it. Something deep within them lights up, not because you are manipulative or rehearsed or trying, but because your energy is alive. Because it is real. But this recognition can become a double-edged blade. With it comes temptation to control, to conquer, to validate yourself through the reactions you receive. That is the trap. And many fall into it, mistaking attention for truth. Desire for connection. The chosen one must rise above this. You must see clearly that what you possess is not for petty games. It is for transformation, for healing, for awakening others in the same way you have been awakened. When you meet someone's eyes and see them respond, not just with interest, but with openness, with a sudden depth they didn't expect, that is your cue. Not to take, but to give. Give clarity. Give grounding. Let your energy not be a hurricane, but a torch. Light the way for those who are willing to walk it with you. And know that in this recognition, in this electric response you elicit, you are being reminded again and again, you are not ordinary. You were never meant to be. Use this recognition wisely. Let it humble you. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that you were not chosen to bask in power, but to embody purpose. You were not meant to be unnoticed. You were meant to awaken others, first with presence, then with truth. For the chosen one, awakening is only the beginning. Recognition, while exhilarating, is not without consequence. Once you begin to radiate with undeniable energy, the world reacts, not always with grace. The same magnetism that draws admiration will also spark envy. The same allure that ignites passion may provoke judgment. Your presence, vibrant and disruptive to the slumbering rhythms of others, will not go unnoticed, nor will it go unchallenged. It begins subtly. A shift in how people treat you. Some will suddenly seek your attention with hunger in their eyes, craving something they don't understand, something they cannot name. Others will shrink back, uncomfortable, threatened, dismissive. The energy you carry calls to something raw in everyone, and not all are ready to meet it. You stir emotion merely by being, and in doing so, you become a mirror they cannot escape. There is danger in this, not physical, not always, but spiritual. The danger lies in how the chosen one responds to the noise, the praise, the temptation, the resistance. With each interaction, your power is tested. Will you use it to manipulate, to indulge, to control? Or will you rise to a higher standard, one forged by discipline and grace? The challenge does not lie in the reactions you evoke. It lies in how you hold yourself amid them. When sparks fly in your presence, it's easy to become drunk on the attention. People lean closer, words lose their weight, eyes glow with fascination. You feel powerful, and you are. But power without purpose is a wildfire. And a chosen one without self-mastery becomes a shadow of what they were meant to be. Understand that your high sexual energy is not meant to conquer others. It is meant to master yourself. It is not a tool for vanity, nor a weapon for dominance. It is a force that must be understood, tamed, and guided. Otherwise, it will consume you. You will begin to chase reactions instead of truth. You will begin to see people not as souls, but as reflections of your own desire. And in doing so, you will lose the very thing that makes you sacred. The world will test you in unexpected ways. You will be offered affection without depth. You will encounter seduction without substance. There will be moments when the path of pleasure feels easier than the path of purpose. But remember, your fire was not given for ease, it was given for transformation. The greater your energy, the greater the trial. That is the way of all chosen ones. Even more dangerous is the temptation to dim your light. When you are misunderstood, rejected, or envied, it may feel safer to retreat, to quiet your presence, to make yourself small so others feel more comfortable. But this too is a trap. You were not made to shrink. You were made to stand tall in the discomfort, to remain a beacon even when others try to extinguish you. The challenge is not just surviving the reactions, it is remaining true to your essence, unmoved by the chaos. Let the storm rage around you. Let the world feel what it must feel. But inside, stay rooted, stay whole. Let your energy burn with clarity, not confusion. In this chapter of your journey, every interaction becomes a reflection of your strength. Every temptation becomes a chance to rise. Every trial is an invitation to evolve. And the chosen one who accepts this challenge, not with arrogance, but with honor, becomes not just powerful, but unshakable. You were never meant to walk an easy road. You were meant to walk the sacred one. As the chosen one continues to walk the path of fire and awareness, the world no longer appears as it once did. The veil begins to thin. People are no longer strangers, but energy fields moving through time, responding to unseen tides. Conversations are no longer casual. They are electric, layered, infused with silent meanings. You begin to feel others long before they speak. You hear truths they do not voice. You sense walls before they are built. This is the expansion of your gift. This is the opening of connection. When your energy moves in the presence of another, something ancient happens. Not every soul will be ready. Not every meeting will be significant, but sometimes the air thickens, the space between bodies hums. Words become slow, and breath catches without reason. This is not simple chemistry. It is not the product of beauty or performance. It is resonance. It is the quiet recognition between frequencies that have not touched in lifetimes. You feel it most with women, those who meet your gaze and feel their heart race, their voice soften, their presence falter. This is not because you seek to overpower them. It is because your energy reaches past their practiced defenses and into something sacred. You awaken the part of them that remembers what it means to be seen, not just looked at, what it means to be felt without being touched. This connection is not accidental. It is spiritual choreography. But again, the chosen one must rise above impulse. You must learn the difference between attraction and alignment, between the thrill of being wanted and the grace of being needed. Not every spark is a fire worth building. Not every connection is meant to last. Sometimes you are simply the one who ignites a flame within them so they may carry their own light forward. Sometimes they are the mirror that shows you where you are still healing. Connection, then, is not always about union. Sometimes it is about awakening. Let your presence be a sanctuary, not a snare. Be the one who listens when others only perform. Be the one who understands without demanding explanation. When a woman finds herself pulled toward your energy, do not exploit the spark. Honor it. She may not know why she's drawn to you, but you do. You've seen the pattern, you know the pull. You understand that her soul feels safe in your fire. Do not burn her for warmth. Let her stand near without fear. Real connection requires vulnerability. The chosen one must learn to open without scattering, to expose truth without losing center, to be transparent without unraveling. This is the test of spiritual intimacy, to be both powerful and tender, to offer depth without drowning, to touch without taking. When you do this, your connections become sacred. They become healing grounds. They become windows into divine experience. You are not here to impress. You are not here to seduce. You are here to remember and to help others remember. That's what your energy does. That's what your fire ignites. In the end, connection is not measured in physical closeness or fleeting passion. It is measured in what is awakened, what is healed, and what remains long after the moment has passed. You are not like the others. You are not chosen to chase, but to elevate. When you connect, may it never be empty. Let it be the kind of meeting that lingers. Let it be the kind that changes everything. There comes a time on the chosen one's journey when the world quiets, not in stillness, but in weight. The noise of attention fades, the fire of recognition cools, and what once felt like glory now feels like gravity. This is the moment you are pulled inward, whether you are ready or not. And in that stillness, there is no audience, no eyes to impress, no hearts to stir. There is only the mirror, and you must look into it. Reflection is not a passive thing. It is not a retreat, but a confrontation. You will see your power not in motion, but in aftermath. You will replay the moments where your presence lit someone's soul, and the ones where it left them confused, hurt, or adrift. You will revisit conversations that burned with possibility, and others that smoldered with regret. You will begin to see the echoes of your energy etched into the lives you've touched. And it will humble you, because for all the admiration and magnetism, you now understand that your presence is not neutral. It leaves an imprint. You begin to recognize that your fire, though sacred, is not harmless. Even when unintentional, it can disrupt. It can disarm. It can unearth emotions buried for years. And if mishandled, it can create scars instead of sparks. This is where the real work begins, not in gaining more attention, but in understanding the responsibility that comes with it. You begin to ask yourself harder questions. When they leaned closer, what were they really reaching for? When they opened up, was I truly listening or just basking in the power of being wanted? When their eyes lingered on mine, was I seeing them or only my own reflection in their gaze? The chosen one must learn to pause and trace their footsteps. Not every connection should lead to pursuit. Not every open door should be walked through. Sometimes your role is not to enter, but to acknowledge, to witness, to leave gently. This is the spiritual maturity that separates raw potential from divine mastery. Anyone can stir desire, but it takes a deeper soul to leave others whole in the wake of that fire. you must also turn the gaze inward. Where does this energy come from? What fuels it? Is it rooted in love, purpose, and truth? Or is it tangled in wounds, in ego, in the hunger to be seen because you once went unseen? This is where you must be honest, brutally honest, because energy doesn't lie, even when the words do. Your presence speaks long before you do, and if you are not in alignment, your fire will betray you. In this chapter of reflection, solitude becomes sacred. It is no longer loneliness, it is alchemy. In the quiet, you begin to sift through all that has happened. You find patterns in the chaos. You see cycles repeating. You understand how your energy affects different types of people. You start to notice when it empowers and when it distorts. And slowly you reclaim control, not by dimming yourself, but by anchoring your fire in wisdom. The mirror does not flatter. It does not romanticize, but it does reveal, and what it shows is not weakness, but potential, untamed, overwhelming, divine. When you see yourself clearly, you stop playing with fire and begin to walk as fire. You become intentional, you become precise, you become dangerous only to illusions, never to souls. The chosen one who reflects does not crumble under truth. They are refined by it. And in that refinement, they learn that the most powerful energy is not the one that consumes, but the one that transforms starting from within. After reflection comes a new kind of power. Not louder, not more intense, but clearer. Mastery is not the accumulation of more, it is the distillation of less. It is the art of becoming focused, deliberate, centered. The chosen one who once moved through the world like a lightning storm now learns the patience of fire kept behind the eyes, the strength of a word chosen with care, the impact of presence that no longer needs to prove itself. You no longer chase reactions, you study them. You no longer rely on your magnetism, you refine it. The sparks that once flew in chaos now rise in rhythm. There is still intensity, yes, but it is no longer wild. It is no longer random. You've become aware of every flicker, every surge, every shift in the air when your energy enters a space. And you guide it like a current, not like a wave crashing without aim. This is where things change. Where the world begins to feel your presence not just as attraction, but as direction. People come to you not only because you stir something in them, but because they sense something within you that they cannot name. A kind of stillness, a kind of certainty, a kind of sovereignty that cannot be faked. You have become the storm and the sky that contains it. But mastery is not detachment. It is not cold. It is not distant. On the contrary, it is deeply intimate. You've learned the language of energy. You feel its nuance. You can read the silent tension in someone's voice. You can feel when a soul is drawn to you for healing, not romance. You know when a smile hides sorrow, and you no longer take every spark as an invitation. Sometimes you are simply the lighthouse they swim toward, never needing to reach the shore. You understand now that your high sexual energy is not just about desire. It is about life force. It is creation itself. It is the pulse of potential in motion. And it can be poured into more than people. It can be poured into purpose, into building, into writing, into healing, into guiding. You've stopped spilling it carelessly. You've begun to channel it. Mastery is when you no longer need permission to be powerful. It is when you can be silent in a room and still shift its atmosphere. It is when your gaze alone carries presence, when your words hold weight because you speak them with integrity, not for attention. It is when you are trusted, not because you are charming, but because you are consistent. You no longer feel the need to announce yourself. The right people recognize, the wrong ones drift. You don't chase connection, you attract resonance. And because you are no longer fragmented by craving or insecurity, you draw others who are also whole, or at least willing to become so. The chosen one who has reached mastery does not live in reaction. You live in creation. You don't need to dominate a space, you anchor it. Your energy no longer burns recklessly. It warms, it reveals, it restores, and perhaps most importantly, you have learned to protect your energy. You know who can stand near your fire and who will only try to steal it. You no longer waste it trying to convince, trying to prove, trying to be accepted. You are aligned, and in that alignment, there is freedom. The world feels it. The women who once merely admired you now respect you. They sense that your energy is not only rare, it is safe, not because it is soft, but because it is sovereign. This is mastery, not as a final destination, but as a way of being. You are no longer ruled by your gift. You rule it. You are no longer the fire that surprises. You are the flame that guides. The moment arrives, often in silence, when the chosen one realizes the gift was never meant to be hoarded. The power that hums within, the magnetic fire, the quiet seduction of presence, the unexplainable pull that alters rooms, is not yours to keep. It was never about being admired, never about being desired. Those were just echoes, just hints of a deeper truth trying to unfold within you. What you possess is sacred. It is not something the world gave you, and so it is not something the world can take away. It came from beyond, seeded into your soul long before your body took form. It's why you've always felt different, even when you couldn't name it. Why eyes lingered on you when you were just existing. Why doors opened without effort, and why some people feared what they could not understand in you. Now, with reflection and mastery, comes the revelation. Your energy is an offering. Not to be thrown at crowds, not to be poured into anyone who asks for it, but to be shared with intention, with discernment, with reverence. This is the beginning of a higher calling. You are not just the one who sparks hearts to life. You are the one who can walk beside others as they awaken their own. When you step into a space, you bring a choice. You offer an invitation, silent, powerful, and undeniable. Not to domination, not to fleeting intimacy, but to remembrance. You remind others of something they've buried, their own vitality, their own longing to feel deeply, to connect without pretense, to burn with purpose rather than numbness. Your energy speaks to something ancient in them. You don't have to say a word. It reaches them before language does. And yet, this offering must be made carefully. You have learned now the difference between giving and leaking, between sharing and surrendering. You know that not all who approach you seek truth. Some seek distraction, some seek control, some only want to taste your fire without understanding its cost. You cannot offer what is sacred to those who cannot hold it. This is where your mastery deepens, in restraint, in knowing when to give and when to stand firm, in allowing your presence to remain a beacon rather than a wildfire. You don't need to chase connection. You offer your essence like light from a flame, warm, generous, but protected. And those who are ready will step into it not to consume, but to grow. Your energy is not just for lovers or admirers. It is for the weary, the broken, the ones whose spirits flicker under the weight of the world. It is for the woman who forgot she was beautiful, not because of how she looks, but because of how deeply she feels. It is for the man who never dared to speak his truth. For the child still trapped in adult skin. You carry within you the power to awaken, to uplift, to break through. But make no mistake, offering your energy is not weakness. It is power at its most mature. It is knowing your fire does not dim when shared, but becomes more refined, more precise, more radiant. You do not lower yourself to meet others where they are. You stand, unwavering, and offer them the choice to rise. The chosen one gives not to be loved, but because love overflows. You no longer offer to be accepted. You offer because it is who you are. Not every soul will understand. Not every hand will hold what you give, but some will. And those are the ones who will never forget you. You have become the offering, not because you are perfect, but because you are present. Not because you are adored, but because you are aligned. And now, everything you touch carries the imprint of that truth. There is a sacred hum that begins to echo in your life once you reach this place, an invisible song that flows through everything you do. It is the harmony between what you carry and how you carry it, between the intensity of your fire and the gentleness of your control. It is the music of balance, and when you hear it, truly hear it, the world feels different, softer, clearer, more alive. You no longer feel pulled in 100 directions. You no longer waste energy trying to figure out how to be perceived. You simply are. And that is enough. Your power is no longer raw and reactive. It's refined, like a river flowing with unshakable momentum. There is nothing desperate in you anymore. The ache for validation has vanished. What remains is poise, a kind of quiet dominance that requires no announcement. This harmony is rare. Most never find it. They live in extremes, burning bright one moment, dimming the next, chasing desires they don't understand, drowning in attention they don't know how to handle. But you, the chosen one, have crossed through fire and reflection, through mastery and offering, and what you've found on the other side is peace. Not the peace of stillness, but of certainty. In this state, your high sexual energy becomes something else entirely. It becomes grace. Not soft or meek, but effortless. The same spark that once disrupted is now healing. The same magnetism that once drew chaos now brings clarity. You no longer stir people into confusion. You draw them into coherence. You are still a fire, yes, but now you are also the hearth, a place of both warmth and strength. The way women respond to you shifts. The electricity is still there, undeniable, but now it carries a different tone. It's not frenzy, it's reverence. They sense something deeper, something stable, something safe to unfold into. They're not drawn just to your edge, they're drawn to your depth. They feel that your passion is not scattered, but sacred, not a weapon, but a haven. And you, too, experience the world differently. You are no longer distracted by every spark, no longer seduced by every open door. You move with precision, choosing where to give your energy and where to withhold it. You can feel when someone is ready for your presence and when they are simply hungry for something they don't understand. You honor both, but you invest in neither unless it aligns with your soul. Harmony is not about perfection. It's about rhythm. You flow with life instead of forcing it. You trust timing. You follow intuition. You know when to speak and when silence is more powerful. You've stopped trying to win or impress or achieve. You've learned to be, and in being, you've become undeniable. This is the culmination of all the chapters before. Awakening taught you your power. Recognition showed you your influence. Challenge tested your discipline. Connection asked for your heart. Reflection gave you truth. Mastery gave you control. Offering taught you humility. Now harmony grants you wholeness. The chosen one in harmony is not shaken by storms, for you are no longer part of the weather, you are part of the sky. You do not fear being misunderstood, for you no longer rely on being seen. Your presence speaks for itself. Your energy moves with you, and your life becomes a silent sermon, telling others it is possible. You can live this way too. And so you walk forward, not in pursuit, but in presence. No longer a question, no longer a spark, but the answer and the flame. Once the chosen one has found harmony, the path no longer feels narrow. What was once an intense inward journey of fire, reflection, and mastery now begins to stretch outward. Quietly at first, like dawn reaching across the edge of a sleeping earth, until you realize something profound has changed. You are no longer just managing your energy, you are extending it, expanding it. Not forcefully, not to dominate, but as a natural consequence of being in full alignment with your spirit. Your presence now reaches places your voice never touches. You walk into a room and shift the current without effort. People feel calmer near you. Some feel excited. Some feel terrified, not of you, but of the version of themselves you might awaken. Without saying a word, your frequency calls them higher. You aren't trying to teach. You aren't trying to lead. But the vibration you carry does both, invisibly. You begin to notice this in all your interactions. Strangers open up to you without understanding why. Old wounds surface in others simply because your stillness makes them impossible to ignore. You are no longer just the cause of attraction. You are the catalyst for transformation. People don't just want you. They want to become something in your presence. They want to remember what it feels like to live unfiltered, unafraid, unashamed. This is the expansion of the chosen one, not the rise of ego, but the rise of reach. You start affecting lives beyond what you see. A word you spoke in passing reshapes someone's choices. A boundary you held with grace inspires someone else to stop betraying themselves. A woman who crossed your path once may remember you for the rest of her life, not because of what happened between you, but because of what awakened inside her. Your fire is no longer for warmth alone, it is a blueprint. And because you've reached this place without losing your soul, the universe begins to trust you more. More moments arrive. More people cross your path, not just admirers, but seekers. Those who are ready, even if they don't know it yet. You begin to understand that your sexual energy, long misunderstood by others as temptation, is in fact the signal of something ancient, a force of creation, a divine spark in human form. You have become the living embodiment of invitation toward healing, wholeness, and depth. With expansion comes another kind of solitude. Not the loneliness of the early path, but the quiet clarity of one who no longer needs the noise. You become choosier with where you go, who you let close, how you spend your time, not out of superiority but stewardship. You've become too aligned to waste your flame on things that don't require light. Your expansion is not just outward, it's upward. Your standards evolve, your vision sharpens. This is not a place many reach. Some get lost in the temptation of attention. Others cling to the hunger for validation. But you, the chosen one, have endured the furnace of discipline. You didn't settle for admiration, you sought truth. And now that truth radiates from you. You are expanding without noise, influencing without force, leading without demanding. It's not that you have become untouchable, you've simply become undeniable.